Hey folks, my name is Mo Amir and this is VANCOLOUR, British Columbia's bona fide culture and politics TV talk show. Tonight, did Vancouver peak 40 years ago at Expo 86? Fiona Forbes will give us her report. Plus, can younger British Columbians realistically retire when they get to 65? How can we even save up for it in this economy? But first, is travel still worth it this summer? We've all heard about flight cancellations, jet fuel shortages, and rising costs that are making travel feel less predictable. Here to discuss, BC's travel guru. You've seen her in local, national, and international media. You may even own luggage that she designed. The founder and president of Travel Best Bets, Claire Newell. Claire, hello. So nice to see you.
Thanks so much for having me. You made me sound way better than I actually am.
No, you're a superstar in the travel world.
Okay, geez.
I feel like, a lot of people love to travel, especially in the summer. But with everything happening in the world, global conflict, fuel shortages, now a Hantavirus.
I know. It feels so bad.
Right?
But I'm telling you, people still want to travel.
How risky is it, though, right now in this moment?
Yeah, well, there came out just late last week, that there are some insurance policies that are not covering you because they're making the jet fuel crisis as of May 5th a known event. But there are policies that are still out there. In fact, here in BC, we still have BCAA that will cover you. So I'm telling people that still go ahead with your plans, but make sure you've got insurance that covers you for trip cancellation and interruption, just in case a flight is canceled.
Okay, so that covers flight cancellations. But in terms of other things where maybe you're stranded or you're quarantined in another country, what can you possibly do as a traveler to prepare for those, unforeseen circumstances?
You mean if an airline actually cancels a flight and you're stranded? I mean, hopefully people will have booked through an agent because they can do all that work for you. But if not, you're going to have to look at the backup plans. I mean, luckily within Europe, for example, which is serviced from the Middle East with their oil, the cancellations have not been as drastic as I had thought. Okay. They have flights that are going, maybe they've canceled 2 or 3 flights a day that maybe that was going 4 times a day. So they just are going full. Okay. There are trains.
So less frequency.
That's right. Okay. But they're not cutting routes completely. Okay. And so, and if they are, they're giving people as much advance notice as possible and putting them on flights and re-protecting them. But I get it. It's scary from a planning perspective. If you're connecting to, say, a tour or a cruise or something, you want to make sure you get there.
Yeah. The other big issue I'm seeing is cost. It feels like prices are ramping up, not just seasonally, but we're seeing things like surcharges for fuel, I've heard baggage fees have increased.
You're right. I wrote it down.
Is it?
So they're cutting capacity and they're grounding flights, and that the airlines are doing that to make sure that the flights that are going are profitable and they're full. Obviously, that's where they make their money, is on full flights. So they're looking at routes that aren't doing well and cutting them, or that could definitely be scaled back. You talked about the baggage surcharges.
Yeah.
Every Canadian airline has done, but every airline around the world is doing that. Go carry-on only if you can.
Yeah.
The other is the fuel surcharges. So we started to see airlines here do that. It's $30, $40, $50, $60, depending on the airline. Around the world, they're doing the same thing. I don't see those going away until the end of the year.
So will it be a new normal, or do you think this is temporary? So end of the year still means 6-7 months.
I've never seen a tax be revoked. It just feels so bad. I mean, going to Europe right now is probably $50 tax more than it was last year. And in some cases, we're talking $800, $900 for the tax portion for some of these trips.
Right. So so what you're saying is these price increases will continue. So maybe don't push a trip a year ahead because you think it'll be cheaper next year.
Absolutely not. In fact, my advice is booking ahead pays. So now we're seeing people book into 2027 to lock in the prices. If you find something that you can live with, whether it's a tour or a cruise or a flight, make sure you lock it in.
My dad's going to Dubai in June. Should he still go?
So I've got some good friends that live there. Yeah. I know a lot of people that live there, and it feels so scary.
Yeah.
Just make sure he's got insurance. And I do know people who are traveling there, they're living there, and they don't have the same fear. But for most people, travel to the Middle East is kind of off.
Yeah, maybe don't go.
Right.
When Obviously people love to travel.
Yeah.
And how do you kind of allay some of their anxieties, especially when we have a 24-hour news cycle, we're seeing all these different things. What do you tell people at the end of the day, aside from just get insurance?
Well, I really would love to address the whole hantavirus
Yeah,
right now,
please.
because it feels like it's just in media. It's everywhere. And I just keep going to what the Director General of the World Health Organization said, and I'm going to read it
Please,
because I feel like it's so important. And I'm paraphrasing because this is a really long message on X, but he said that this is serious and that 3 people have died, but it is not another COVID.
Okay.
And he actually says it again, but he did say that, we know that this Andes strain is, it's rarely spread from person to person. It's only if they're in really close contact, saliva, respiratory kind of spray. But he said that the pain of 2020 is real. And I feel it still.
Yeah, we all have shell shock
right?
from it. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I don't dismiss it for a single moment, but I need you to hear me clearly. He wrote this. This is not another COVID. The current public health risk from hantavirus remains low. I mean, I'm going on a cruise in a month. And
brave.
I'm taking precautions. I do on everything. I was on one just last month, and I see the protocols that they're doing. This seems like a really rare case, and it seems controlled. And I'm going on another one, as I said, in a month. But I take the same precautions on everything. I wash my hands. I use sanitizer when I don't have access to soap and water. I make sure that I avoid touching my face. My husband and I choose to sit just the 2 of us having dinner together, not at a big, large table. And we know to report any flu-like symptoms the second we feel them, so that anything that we have may be treated, and of course, have travel insurance.
Sound advice. So basically be prepared and have a good time. There's risk with everything.
There is.
Claire, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thanks so much for having me.
Folks, book your next dream vacation with the best travel best bets. That was their president, Claire Newell. Now, after some business, it's not just travel. The cost of living, including the cost of housing, is way up compared to previous generations. So can younger British Columbians realistically expect to retire at 65? We'll talk about it up next.